everybody. I'm Tom Vessel.
I'm Z Garcia. Hello.
Sam Healy. What's up, folks? Welcome back.
One of the most requested things we're asked all the time is two-player games. Usually a game I can play with my spouse, right? One person I play games with. So this is a question we get asked a lot, to the point where we've done a top 10 list on this very subject before. We're actually splitting it into two categories because there really is a big difference between let's sit down and play this long, complex two-player game, which are great fun. That's the other list. This list are, I'm calling them casual games. They're the kind of games that you just sit down and have a good time with one other person in a game.
Right.
There's no real hard and fast rule on these. We're going by our gut instinct whether it belongs in what category.
Yeah. Actually, coming up with the list, this one and the other one was pretty difficult because we should mention that we limited ourselves
Yeah, that
To only
to
5
a
years
time
ago.
frame that would allow us to highlight new games and highlight games that are more likely to be available also, right? And so we've picked everything from 2013 and you know this side of that fence. So it was pretty tough. There was definitely a golden age of two-player games. This isn't it. You know what I mean?
Really?
you mean of casual two-player games.
Okay,
There's
sure.
definitely
Casual two-player
the strategic
games.
one I could have went on and on and on
Yeah,
and
the
on and on
strategic
that one.
games like big, epic,
I got
thematic.
10 of them that are right here, man.
I got 10 too, but I was scraping
Really?
for some of them. And some of them were just esoteric little games that I know and people don't know and who
One
cares.
of the other
but
things we talked about was keeping it open, and it didn't have to necessarily be just a two-player game.
That's true.
It could be games that played well casually with two players, and that was one of my hang-ups, because there aren't a whole lot of multiplayer games that I play two-player. Mm-hmm. Usually, if I want to play a two-player game, I go get a two-player game. I don't
Sure.
get a game that plays more than that. And that's what made the list hard for me.
Actually, only 2 of my 10 are also multiplayer games.
Yeah, I
Only
think I
one
have
of
one.
mine.
I have
Only
one
one of mine is.
that plays, well, maybe 2.
I also think we're going to have at least one crossover that everyone says. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to cross over with these guys at least
7 times.
half of mine will be a crossover with one of these two.
Wow.
Yeah,
All right.
But I think at the same time, this makes the original list that we did in 2014
Valid.
valid. You can still go watch that
Absolutely.
one and this
Yes,
one.
Yes.
I don't think you're going to cross over with me hardly.
I'm going to cross with Sam over twice.
I don't think you've played
9 of your 10
many
games.
of these. I
Oh,
don't think
okay,
you've
well that
played
gives me
many.
all the more room to criticize Sam's erroneous picks then. As for example, here's his first bad choice.
Number 10.
Wow. Talk about setting the bar high or low.
Low.
Yeah, it's low.
Nice and
okay.
low.
Well, like I said, I think I have
got
some
easy
more
ones.
I'm
crossover.
pretty
than
sure
you think.
this one is going to be on all 3 of our lists. So if that's the case, I'm just saying.
Go
My
ahead.
number
What do you
10,
got?
Santorini.
No.
My number 10 is Santorini. It's going to be. It might not be on yours, but I'm pretty sure it's on yours. Yeah.
You don't know me.
Santorini. Santorini is a great game where you can just... Now, it can be played, especially if you add in all the other stuff that they have for it, all of the expandable elements that are there, the gods and all that kind of stuff. It can ratchet up to almost a very strategic game. It is abstract strategy, but it's a very... I don't know, just a very loose abstract strategy game. You can play it where you're like dialed in, totally focused, and you want to win, but you can also just play it, whatever, man, I'm just going to do this, I'm going to do that. And you can play it both ways, and playing it casually is the way I enjoy it the most,
I see.
as with most abstract strategy games. If the abstract strategy game is asking me to brain burn, I'll pass. But this one, you can do either one, and I usually tend to play it in a more casual fashion. But Santorini is my number 10.
I withdraw my prejudging of Sam's number 10.
Okay, we'll see then.
My number 10 is from R&R Games. This game doesn't look like much, but it's very fun, and that's Pyramid Poker. Oh. This is a... Oh, okay, never mind. I'm going to reduce my crossover down
That
to
is
4.
a good one. That's a very good one.
Yeah.
All right, so Pyramid Poker, you have these blocks that show the suits
You're a
and
baller.
numbers on a card, right? And so, and you have half, and your opponent has half, and you slowly build this pyramid. You can see half of the stuff on the pyramid, and then you pull them off, and you're trying to make a good poker hand. But you know that if you pull a brick or a wood block off this, you might be freeing your opponent up. You're watching what he's collecting. So
Yes.
he collects 3 aces. You're like, oh, he must know where that 4th ace is. I don't see it on my side. So it could be one of his blocks. I'm not letting him get any more of his
And
blocks.
freeing up 2 blocks that are not, that you can't see, is a bad idea.
Yeah.
Makes you nervous. You're like,
No, that's a good one.
yeah, and it really works. It's easy. If you know anything about cards, it works well. But it's not just a game that could be played with cards. It actually needs to be built in a pyramid
Yes.
for the game to work. Fast and fun, pyramid poker.
Very
That's
good.
good stuff. All right, my number 10 is a 2-player only card game called Holmes, Sherlock, and Mycroft, in which you are, it's a game in which you collect sets of cards. You're supposed to be investigating, but it would be a great introduction to worker placement. Because you're going to have a few characters out there you can appease, and you have just a couple of little wooden dudes. You put them on there, and they do some sort of ability, like draw 2 cards, or give away a card and draw 3, or whatever. They have different little powers that allow you to mess with the game below that, which is just a set collection kind of card game. If you have more of this kind of card than your opponent, you score those cards at the end of the game. That's it. Very simple, very straightforward, but I like the theme. And
You had some theme music there, man.
dun, 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 dun. I like the theme in it, and I do like the illustrations and the way that they were able to fold the whole, like, oh, you're investigating into really a game that is an abstract card game. Works for me. I enjoy very much. Holmes, Sherlock, and Mycroft. Check it out.
I'm letting him know that we're actually recording right now because he knows not to call me. It's my son.
I thought he was talking about you for a second. Do not bother me when I'm recording. You told me
While I'm answering the phone.
Do you mind?
Number 9.
My number 9 is not on these guys' list because I don't think either one of them has played it yet, and that is Tiny Epic Quest. There's a lot of Tiny Epic games.
played that.
You have played Tiny Epic Quest?
Don't want to play that.
Definitely a riff on Zelda, for sure. Or the Zelda series. In this game, you have some little dudes who are running around a map that you've built, and you're just trying to get the different things you need to accomplish quests. There's some luck with some dice roll. There's a kind of a push-your-luck aspect to it. And the game, I think, works best with 2 players. With more than 2 players, there's a lot of outside stuff from other players affecting you in a negative way.
Okay.
Because when players push their luck, it can affect you positively.
Yes.
It can,
Yes.
and there's a lot less control. With a 2-player game, it can become a much more strategic game. It looks more complex than it is. It's not that complicated of a game.
no, I guess so.
And I think of all the Tiny Epic little games, I think this one works best with 2.
I never play with 2. I play with more than that, but I was not particularly impressed. But
Did you feel though that a lot of stuff happened when it wasn't your turn?
Oh,
And it
sure.
got- that's much lessened in a 2-player game.
Okay, cool. All right, my number 9 is a very, very popular sequel, let's say, to a very popular game, and this is Codenames Duet, which would be a great pick for someone who enjoys word games, for someone who enjoys cooperation, but also communication games. In this one, you really have to, I think it takes the ideas that are in Codenames, and it wraps a great 2-player concept around them, where you are just bouncing back and forth between 2 people trying to actually help each other win the whole thing. It's really neat, interesting. You're going to have a little bit of deduction as you figure out that some words on your side are the ones you want them to find. There's a number of them that you both need to find, and if you can start deducing which ones those are, that might help you out too. That's sort of like an extra level if you want to go there. But it's an enjoyable game. It's well done. It's interesting, and I prefer myself to mix it with Codenames Pictures, game that came out before it, and play the same exact game but with pictures instead of words, just because I like that better. You can do that too. So Codenames Duet is my number 9, a good one to enjoy for those of you that enjoy Scrabble or deduction games, that sort of thing.
You could mix it with Dixit.
You could mix it with Dixit. I
You
guess so.
seriously sat there thinking about that while he said that?
No, it popped in my head, and I waited for him to finish like a gentleman. And then I said it.
Could you play it with Dixit cards? I guess you could.
You could fix it with Dixit, but it doesn't need fixing. It works. That's fine.
Yes.
All
All right, my number 9 is probably now. One of the things that we talked about was not to include games that were like redos.
No, we didn't say not to.
I know, but
We discussed it.
we kind of frowned upon it.
Did we? I thought we came out with it and it was okay.
Well,
I'm frowning.
I'm going to say it was okay because this is pretty much reworking. But it is not exactly like the original, and this is called Risk Star Wars Edition. Now this is a casual game for me.
Nah, it's a brand new game, dude.
And yeah,
No, is this like Queen's Gambit
it's
kind
very,
of, sort of?
it's very
Kind
similar
of,
to Queen's
sort of.
Gambit. It's very, very,
Are there any Gungans in it?
very. No, there are
Then
not.
it's fine.
That's the one upgrade.
Were there Gungans in the original? Actually, I don't know.
Yes.
Yes, there are.
I never played.
Really?
no.
Well, we just had a
don't play
live
bad
marathon
games.
where we played it.
I know, but I try to avoid bad games.
It's not a bad game.
That are out
Actually, a
of
very
print.
good game. Okay, out of print games. Always derailing my.
I would like to say, I think this is a really good choice.
It is a
highly
good
agree.
choice. I
didn't even
like
think
it a
of this one.
lot.
It's a great choice.
It's a very and this one doesn't have a whole lot to it. It's not brain burny. You have a hand of cards, and that is pretty much what restricts you on where you can act. And some people don't like the game because of that. You're very restricted to the cards you can play. But at the same time, that makes it a very casual game because you don't have to think about what's going on over here if you don't have the cards in your hand to think about it. And so that's one of the things that I like about the game that makes it very casual for me. You know what you can do based on what you have in your hand. The more options you have in your hand, yeah, the more thinking you're going to have to do. But it's a very straightforward, casual two-player game, and it's based around one of the best movies of all time, in my opinion, Return of the Jedi. So I really enjoy the game. Top marks. My number 9, Risk Star Wars Edition. Horrible name. Great game.
Number 8.
This one I suspect will show up on Sam's list. My number 8 is Raptor, a two-player game from the Brunos, I believe. Bruno Fedudi, Bruno Catala.
Cheers.
And it is a very thinky game. In many ways, if you did strip away the theme, that is fun. And then certainly there, it does play kind of like an abstract game, with the moves being very tactical, a lot of responding to what your opponent is doing, that sort of thing. But then on top of that, you have the great theme with the dinosaurs and the scientists, and you do have that simultaneous card play, which is not very abstract game-like.
True.
But you do have to get into your opponent's head a little bit, because if you make a particularly bad move, like playing a very low card when they play a very high card, they're going to have a ton of actions that round, for it is the difference that is the number of actions you get. And they're going to really mess you over. But it's a great game. It's rich with theme and choices. It's clever. It's very well thought out. And switching sides, even after a single play, you can go ahead and switch sides, and that can be very rewarding as well, because it's fun to sort of get into what your side is trying to accomplish, right? And you're the good guys no matter what side you're on, you know.
That's
So
right.
I like it. I like it very much.
I'm here to stop these evil raptors.
I'm helping.
Evil.
My number 8, Raptor, a very fun two-player tactical game.
My number 8 is a game that just came out at Essen this year. Heard about it in the months preceding Essen, and it came out from a group called Emperor S4.
What?
And it is one of
you like this
those
company?
games that I actually played multiple times at Essen, because I went to their booth. They taught me how to play Shadows in Kyoto, and then I taught other people how to play, because it's just that quick of a game, it's that fun of a game, and it's that easy to teach. Now, you didn't like it as much as I thought you would. I guess you thought it was a little bit too basic.
Yeah, it was a little too stratego basic. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, that's definitely there. And it definitely has that core of Stratego that's there.
Yeah.
But the thing that I think really kind of dismisses that notion is the fact that the cards that you're using can be recycled. You can really have freedom in drawing what kind of cards. You have 2 decks, action card decks, or movement decks rather, movement cards, and then you also have special move cards. And whenever you play a card, doesn't matter what kind of card you play, you can draw from either deck. and that's what I liked about it.
Right.
You have that option of kind of waffling between those two things. Do I want to go movement heavy, or do I want to use those special actions really heavy as well?
Okay.
So I really enjoy the game. Has a lot of really great artwork in it, and it's compact, which I also like as well. So just a lot of good things going for it. That's my number 8, Shadows in Kyoto.
My number 8 is also Raptor.
Nice.
You
Wow.
did not even put me in your thoughts there.
I figured it was too obvious to mention.
I didn't even know you played this game, actually.
You taught it to me.
I did?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then
Must
I
have been a
killed you
forgettable
as the
experience.
Raptors. I remember it. I think about it when I'm feeling sad. I'll be like, remember when the Raptors shredded Sam Stein's flesh? And I'll be like, I'm in a better mood now.
Oh my goodness
Normally
me.
would happen
That is
in any given
horrible.
situation.
Yeah, but you got soldiers backing you up.
You got guns! Okay, anyway. No, I agree
That's
with
cool.
I agree with both of them. It's a very simple game. And I would not fight to the death, but I would argue strongly against people who said it's an abstract game because the theme comes through really strongly.
No, it does. It does.
And if you take that theme away, the game would be really hard to figure out. But because the theme is there, it makes sense.
I don't know about that. But I think.
Like your
be hard to-
objectives.
Huh?
Wouldn't be hard to figure out.
Yeah, no. I think you could change the code of paint, but I think the code of paint helps.
Rumor has it that this was actually a Lord of the Rings themed game when it was originally.
Oh, it probably
I think
was.
that's a rumor. I
So-
think that's like a we know
That's
that.
pretty much
I
it,
believe
yeah.
it was themed around us.
Okay.
We were all chasing a board game that was hard to find in the woods.
And the babies represent the what?
Board game.
Stop. Okay, stop.
Hammer time.
No, but I really did like the pieces of the game were good. The good theme, and it has a nice asymmetrical feeling to it. That
Yes,
whole
very much so.
play the other person is. There are gonna be times you're gonna want to throw your card at the wall because they just played the right card and you played the very very wrong,
Wrong
card.
card, yeah.
But I like it. So Raptor.
Okay.
Number 7.
My number 7 is a fairly recent game as well. This is King Domino. And King Domino is a game that goes up to 4 players normally. Has had a sequel, Queen Domino, which I do like better, but I think for the casual list, it's King Domino that makes it onto the list. And that's because it's simpler and it is more straightforward, a little bit shorter. You can teach it to just about anybody, but also I do think it's a better 2-player game than any other count. Especially when you play a 7x7 board as opposed to the 5x5, which you have to play when you play with more than 2. Now with 2 you could play 5x5, but you're not seeing half the tiles. You would just remove those from the game. If you play 7x7, you will see every tile, and you have way more tactical options. It's a much more interesting game, and just a little bit longer, but it's much more interesting. So I do recommend that you try King Domino with 2, play the full game, 7x7 grid, and it's just such a simple drafting and building game, and it's a pleasure to watch what you're doing grow and spread and start noticing cool little combos, simple though they are, but you'll still be like, oh, that's a great tile for right here. I can put that there and get a nice combo going. I can continue growing both of these lines in a single tile placement, and I enjoy that very much. Like I said, I think just about anybody can learn this one. So I recommend it. My number 7, King Domino.
Or King Domino.
That one too.
Yes.
My number 7 is also King Domino. That is not true.
Oh, okay. I was like, come on, man.
Was you copy his list?
That ain't school. What are you
Math
doing?
class and
But this did make me think of something when you were talking, where you were saying that you thought Queen Domino might not, wouldn't fit in the casual. Z's definition of casual is probably lower than mine.
Yeah, that's fine. I know.
Okay, because I
I
bet.
will note though that he just said that the longer version of the game is the better.
Well,
which
yeah,
is
but because
probably
the
a
shorter
first.
version's like 5
No, that's
minutes.
a first. Just leave it be. An amazing thing.
My number 7 is one of the multiplayer games on my list, and it is Nations, the dice game. I just had a chance to play this one. Really like Nations, the dice game a lot. I like the whole Yahtzee idea of it.
we should bring
And
that back.
in Nations, the dice game, you're really not affecting what other people are doing.
He wants to do a
wanna bring that back,
simulcast.
You don't like Nations, the dice game?
No.
No, I don't dislike it, Sam. I think it's
I-
okay.
I don't
I just
like
don't think I would want to
Really?
ever. I would
Wow,
probably
I'm
not ever
surprised.
use this game as anywhere near like Gateway, and by that I mean like if someone's playing like 3-4 games or kind of starting to get into games, they want to play something casual. I don't want them running
No,
for the
I
hills.
did.
of this
First of
game.
all, I did not say gateway.
No,
I
I
said
know.
casual. There's a big difference.
I know.
This is the kind of game you just get into when you play casually. It's not a very you roll some dice. You see what resources you get. You take a tile. You roll some more dice.
Fly casual.
That's easy.
It is easy. It is easy. It's
Nation's
just
a
not
dice
pretty.
game.
It's.
I didn't say.
That's what I
Again, didn't say that on this list either.
It's like a given, though. Games need to be good looking.
It's not awful looking.
Well,
Why am I defending my choice? It's a good
I
choice.
did kind of throw up in my mouth.
Did you go
Don't
already?
make me feel bad.
No, I
Nation's the
didn't.
dice game.
I think it's a good choice, and I appreciate you and your wardrobe. I said wardrobe this time, baby. I'm including that shirt.
Condor calls for aid. The beacons are lit.
Go.
All right, my number, we're on sevens, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
All right, my number 7 is even more Cult of the New. By the way, I felt very Cult of the New making this list.
You should.
Because that 5-year thing was just like, wow, that's a huge little, that's a huge restriction.
You think so?
Yeah.
Just for two-player only things, I think is what it is.
Yes,
Because there's
that
plenty.
too.
There's been plenty of games.
So this one just came out. Well, it came out probably before PAX Unplugged, but I was introduced to it at PAX Unplugged, and it's a game from Thundergriff Games called Tao Long: The Way of the Dragon, and this is a really cool. Really an abstract strategy game, but it has the theme on it of 2 dragons battling for control over a certain area. Sometimes you can play a scenario. It is scenario based, so you can play a scenario where one dragon is protecting a village, the other dragon is attacking the village. You can. It has portals that you can travel through, which actually kind of elongate your dragon, because when it goes through the portal gate, it actually becomes part of your dragon, so that they can attack where that portal is and actually hurt your dragon. So I don't know, it's just a really cool, it's a casual game, but this is another one on the list where you can ramp up the level of difficulty by how many there's like 3 modes that come in the game. There's like a grasshopper mode, which is just like your basic
Grasshopper.
run-of-the-mill, just very simple. And then on top of that, there's like a master
Electrician.
master mode, and then there's like a supreme master mode or something like that, where you actually don't. I think this was a joke, but you don't even make any moves on the board. All of the moves are done in your head, and all you do is move this. I'm like, oh,
That's
no.
how I play all my games.
Oh no, exactly
That's
right.
awesome.
But it has at its core, the core mechanism is this Mancala, where you have to take everything from one,
Yeah.
and then drop it off as you go, and then wherever you end, that's the move that you can make on the board with your dragon. And it's a really cool game, and it's very casual. It's very sleek. It looks really good. I love the ancient Asian look that it has. It's just a really great game, and I like it a lot. Tao Long from Thundergriff Games.
I want to play the thing where you do it in your head, but we'll do it live.
You can do that by
We'll
yourself.
sit there and
Done.
I won the other time. I knew I should have thought
You have
that.
to say the moves out loud.
I know,
We're
yeah,
not
right.
telepathically connected.
You still have to use the
That's a
Mancala
completely
thing.
different thing. That's the next level.
Yes.
Number 6.
We're entering abstract strategy land. Here we go. Number 6.
okay.
There's more than one on my list.
Yeah.
Number 6 is the Duke. And I was actually surprised. I thought this one was actually older than that.
Dukes.
Now, on one blush, some people might say, well, the Duke seems more complex, but there's a couple things. First of all, almost everyone knows how to play chess, right? So the Duke has similarities to that. And secondly, how the pieces move is written on the pieces themselves. So it's not that complex. It's kind of like chess, but you draw your piece from a bag, and each piece, you have the same pieces your opponent does, unless you buy some weird expansions. But for the most part, you have your same pieces your opponent does, but you don't know when you're going to come out. And when they come out, you move that piece a certain way, like it shows on the piece, and then you flip it. It allows for a very deep game, but at the same time, because you're pulling pieces, and not every piece is out there, so you can't. No one's writing a book on the opening move in Duke because you don't actually know what the opening move is.
Right. And the
that's
pieces
why I
on the
like
other
it.
side have different moves.
Right.
They go back and forth between two sets of moves, which is tactically very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not a difficult game to play.
No.
And I don't feel the same amount of stress playing the Duke that I do, let's say, when I play chess.
Cool.
My turn.
Yes.
Thought I was going to get garbage.
All right, my
No,
number
saving
6.
it.
Now,
We're saving
I
it.
was actually thinking the Jarl, but it's basically the same game. Just
Yeah, the Jarl is another version of the Duke. It's just a different theming.
Because Vikings.
Yeah.
But they do play differently.
Makes it
The
better.
Duke has a lot more sliding pieces across the board. The Jarl has more
Throwing
moving pieces, slow, and defending against them. I like the Duke a little bit better because of its speed. But they're both fine.
All right, my number 6 is another brand new game that I was introduced to at Essen. Availability on this side of the Atlantic might be a little troublesome, but I think you can still go to their website and get it. It's by Boards and Dice, and it's called In Between. In Between is a 2-player card game, basically, where it has a very strong Stranger Things vibe going on to it. It is not Stranger Things themed, but it has that same idea where there's this evil person or thing that is in an underneath world that's trying to pull town members down into their world. And the town player, the good guys, are trying to keep those people up in the real realm.
Okay.
And it's a basic tug of war game, but it's just really interesting because of all of the things that you can do. It's hard to explain without teaching you how to play the game, but all of the town people are set out in a circle. 10 of them are used. Not all the town people are used, and it cycles by going around in a circle. So the person who goes next, you take turns. The card can help you activate special abilities if you have them in your realm. And so it's just a lot of cool things that you can do to hurt your other people. There's a little bit of a take that thing in there, but that one's kind of light. It's really more about achieving your goals before the other person achieves theirs. I really enjoy the game. It has a really cool theme to it. Artwork is really good. It's probably just not very available over here yet.
Okay.
But it is available. It is out there. You just might have to do a little bit more digging than normal. But that is my number 6, In Between, from Boards and Dice.
My number 6 is also a card game. This one is much easier to find. This is The Fox in the Forest from Renegade Game Studios. And this is a 2-player trick-taking game, which is a very rare thing anyway.
Right.
A trick-taking game that works for 2. Well, this is only for 2.
It's war.
Huh?
2-player trick-taking game is almost war, but yes.
Well, war is simultaneous flipping, right? So it doesn't mean anything. But this one, they've managed to make that concept work and work really well. Now, some of the cards have special powers, but not all of them, right? And say, for example, all of the 3s of the different suits in the deck do have the same power, and not every card has a power, so it was only a handful. It's very easy to figure out and teach and play. And you are scoring points. You are amassing points. You play multiple hands until you hit, 21 points or something. But it's quick. It's simple to teach. It's fun to play. It's great to set your opponent up for a great, grab of cards. You can start to get into some pretty fun, tactical, and strategic play. It's a very engaging game. And on top of that, the artwork and the sort of fairy tale setting that they put it in is very appealing as well. Really enjoy it. I've played this quite a bit, and it always goes over very well for me. So The Fox in the Forest is my number 6.
Cool beans.
Fox in the forest. What does he say?
Fox.
Number 5.
In the top 5, and I'm saving the best for last.
Well, that's the way you're supposed to do it.
how-
Oh,
I'm
I'm
supposed to do
sorry. I
it.
did that. Oh.
You did that backwards. Well, this one has already been mentioned by both of the other gentlemen at the table.
El Raptor.
El Raptore.
Raptore.
That's not right. That can't be
What-
right.
what language
That
are you
sounded
all
too
speaking?
right.
Raptore.
El Raptore.
That is
That's
not
like
Is that like a dish you get
That
at
is
the
like
Italian
that sounds
place?
like
Spentalian.
Spentalian or
Something
Latin
like-
maybe.
Oh
That
my
works
goodness.
too.
You like Raptor, right?
Yes, Raptor. Raptor is a great game, and I concur completely with everything that was already said. The thing about this, always also on top of what I said about Risk, Star Wars Edition, you're really constricted with what you have in your hand. The difficulty comes in, what you touched on, is trying to get inside your opponent's head. You only have, I think it's 3 cards?
Yeah, I think
you only
so.
have 3 cards to choose from. But of those 3 cards, which one is going to get me the better turn?
Yeah.
And that's where it becomes a little bit more difficult. But I mean, your first few games is going to be very, very, very casual because you don't really know exactly how everything is going to work together anyway. So it's going to feel very casual on the offset. And then once you get savvy on how everything works out, it's going to go back to feeling very, very casual again because you're familiar with everything that's going to go on, and it's a very enjoyable experience.
That's interesting. A game that starts casually when you first play, but it reveals its depth to you over different plays. That's interesting. Yeah. I like that, and I think a game that is designed that way is very appealing because it'll grow with you.
Yeah, exactly,
You know.
exactly. And you touched on another aspect that I was thinking about when I put it on the list, and that is the asymmetrical nature of it, because you really do play very differently. Each side plays very differently than the other, but they're both balanced. I don't think that one side is much stronger than the other. They just play differently. They seem stronger, but they aren't. And that's another thing that I really like about the game. But Raptor is a great game. My number 5.
All right, my number 5 harkens back to games like Backgammon. It's very much inspired by Backgammon. And this is a game called Tatsu. The theme here being much like Tao Long. It's the idea is dragons, you are contending back and forth over
A very unique theme, obviously.
over dragons, you know. Then it's an abstract
I bet you I could make a 2-player casual dragon
about
game.
dragons. Yeah, it's the way the game works is largely like Backgammon. You're rolling 2 dice, you are moving one of your pieces or introducing a new piece onto the board. There's a few twists on that. You have 3 different kinds of pieces, each one with a different kind of power. And you'll be moving your pieces in one direction while your opponent's moving them in the other direction, which means they'll run into each other. They'll continue to sort of run into each other, which is interesting, and you have to sort of see it happen to understand why it matters. But I like the idea of putting you have the fire dragons are like the really powerful ones. You only have 2 of them. You can throw them out there and start just chewing up the other player's pieces. But if you lose both the fire dragons, you're done. Whereas your weaker dragons don't do as much, but your opponent has to capture all of them. There's like 5 for them to eliminate you. It's a lot of rolling dice and seeing what happens. There is that. But the more you play, the more you see good moves. And for a casual game, this is just fantastic, especially for someone who enjoys classic games. You know, like big box store kind of games. As someone who enjoys Backgammon out there, if you have someone like that in your family or you are that person yourself, definitely take a look at this game because I think you're going to enjoy it. I think it's an upgrade to Backgammon. So that is my number 5, Tatsu. Check it out.
All right, I'm still in the abstract strategy phase of my list. This one Sam said would be on my list, and he was correct at number 5, Santorini.
Oh,
It's a really easy game, and
predictable.
what I like about this one is you can go to store and Target has it now. This is a very widely
What?
available game.
I don't put no mass market games in my
So Santorini, like Sam says, the base game is pretty simple. You can add in the guide cards and make it as complex or not if you want.
Yeah.
Because they're actually, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, they're like the first number are easier powers and they get a little bit more complex.
You can do that. Yes, there are some
Right.
simpler ones.
And I mean, and you literally could say, let's play with number 1 and 2. And you could play with those for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
You could just add them in one at a time, or you could just grab one out of the deck. A lot of variety in this game, but it's a solid game, and it looks pretty. It's easy to get people to play it because you get to build houses. Well, who doesn't like doing that?
Right.
They should have it in the Lego aisle. They'd sell a lot more. That doesn't make a lot of sense, actually.
No.
Why am I? All right, never mind.
Number 4.
All right, my number 4 is this is probably the heaviest game on the list, and it's really not even that heavy. It is still just a 2-player game.
Let us judge you.
Santorini
yourself.
is kind of heavy.
Wow. Don't be. No, you're not live right now.
Yeah.
This is not a live Q&A. Stop.
Yeah, stop.
Go.
All right, so this one's put out by Stronghold Games. It is actually a reprint from a politically themed game, and this one isn't too far off being politically themed.
Whoa!
Another age. Sola Fide. Sola Fide is.
I will let the internet judge you.
Yes,
I
you
can't
go
even
ahead.
play it, so I
you go ahead.
can't. Oh,
But
I'm bummed now.
Sola Fide takes place during the Reformation era, which was a very politically charged
Was it?
era.
Oh, violence.
It's part of the game.
There was
get
a lot.
it, I
There was
get
a
it.
lot of violence in the Reformation era, so I got into the theme a little bit.
I get it.
But
I'll hold it.
the thing that I like about this game is that you can use just pre-selected decks, no worries.
It's a deck building game.
Or you can use the deck building game, which is strange because you don't deck build. Each player has their own decks. So you don't deck build with your opponent, you have your own deck. You choose, I think it's 3 cards, and you have to choose one of them, and the other 2 go into your discard pile.
Oh, so you like draft
And then you
the
draw
deck.
3. Yes, you draft your deck from your deck
like
of cards, and I really enjoy that mechanism.
I like that.
It's really cool because you can kind of craft your strategy as you're drafting your deck, and it could be completely opposite from what your opponent is doing, and you'll get throttled. Or it can be this very tight back and forth game. It's an area control game, which I also enjoy as well. So there's just a lot of things that are going on. For me, it is a very casual game. It can be played with a little bit more depth and a little bit more convolution, I guess you could say. But for me, it's definitely a casual game, and I think the theme fits very well. The what was it called earlier? It was the campaign manager, I think, is what it was called before. So it works that
That's
way
true.
too.
If it is a campaign manager, I haven't played it yet, but if it is campaign manager, that is a simple game. May God have mercy on your soul. In the comment section.
In the
Why?
comment section.
Why? Is people not? Why?
I don't know. I feel like
People
you might
are
get some
gonna
pushback.
get ya. Comments are gonna get ya.
All right, that's fine.
They're all gonna get ya tonight.
I'll take the target. Go ahead.
I might be wrong, though. I might be wrong. Actually, you probably won't get too much feedback because most people have not played this game, actually.
That's
It
true.
did not get a big... It did not splash hard for some reason.
right.
I don't know why.
In fact, my number 4 is a made-up game. No one's gonna give me garbage. Nobody.
My number 4 is still in the abstract strategy area.
What is the deal?
Well, they're just...
Let me guess. Onitama.
Yes, Onitama. Good call there. Onitama. It is part of the Dice Tower Essentials line. But I still remember the very first time we played it.
Shameless promotion.
Come on now.
When Z and I played Onitama, I remember that
I
play.
slapped him. I remember that. I was like, this is so good.
Now we played it, we're like, let's try it again. We played it again. We played it several times in a
Until
row.
you won finally. It was like 8 times.
Oh my goodness. What's with all the
No.
smack talk here?
I know I beat Jason the first time.
Here we go.
And you'll
I
never
was
play him
like-
again.
I was like, yeah.
Never play with you again.
Take it.
Never play him Onitama again.
No, I beat Jason rarely, so I remember every single time that I did.
I remember that. We played and just played and played like 3 times in a row because it was that captivating, yes.
Right, and we're like, man, this game is amazing.
And it plays that fast, too.
Yeah.
We play a lot of abstract strategy games, and we like some, we dislike others, but Onitama just was there.
Yes.
It just was one of those games you're like, wow, this is phenomenally simple and easy. You have 2 moves on your turn, but you're thinking about the other 2 moves your opponent has. There's not a lot of pieces. It's just, but each game feels different. Just really, and the production, I like the production of the
Yes.
Arcane Wonders. So Onitama, my number 4.
I do like the fact
Fantastic.
that he looked on his list and then said Onitama.
You don't know me, fool. Shut up. My number 4 is the other game on the list that plays more than 2 people normally, and that is Azul, a very recent game from
Oh, you like it? I haven't
Plan
played it with
B.
2.
Yeah, it's great. It's good with any number of players, but it really does feel different with 2. And with 2, it will be meaner. Just FYI, it's casual, but yes, it's a little meaner because it's much easier to make your opponent take tiles they don't want to take, and that means negative points. But
I always think of the
this feels
Ghostbusters when you
it's
talk about
an abstract sort of. I mean, it has a theme, but it plays kind of like an abstract game that's more apparent in a 2-player game. It's like very like I'll take these, you get those, I get these, you get that. You know what I mean? You can sort of see it happen. Which leads to I can force you to take something you don't want also, but the puzzly nature really comes to the top when it
You
comes
played
to
this
two players.
two-player, right?
Yeah, I played it with him.
Yeah, I really
he mean?
enjoy it.
No, did we play
I don't
three?
remember if we played just two.
I think it was. It might have been 3. I think
Yeah.
Justin was here when we played it.
Okay. Yeah, I've played with all numbers. I like them all.
Could be wrong.
But it's such a fantastic game at 2. I definitely recommend it. If you're looking for something that is casual, has that sort of grows with you quality we were talking about, and yes, it's a little bit mean, I think you're going to really enjoy it. Plus, it's a gorgeous looking game anyway on the table. So, Azul, great game, my number 4.
Go.
Number 3.
We often give Sam grief for putting the same games in his list over and over
It's
again.
not okay.
No, it happens.
I would never do such a thing.
But there are a few games that I find myself putting on the list more often, and my number 3 is one of those, and that is Adventureland. It's one of those games that I wish more people would play. You still haven't played it yet. You still haven't played it. You don't even know.
I can't do it if I haven't played it, Sam. I
haven't
must be
played it
true
either.
to the throw.
I haven't played it either.
I still think you to play. Man, okay, Adventureland is just a fantastic game. It's a.
Doubt
It's
it.
so great. He never asks us.
No, we can't go by that because there's a lot of great games that I don't want to spoil by
Like
playing
what?
with you two.
Blood
Wow.
Rage? Nope. Le
He
Pandemie?
didn't hear what I said.
I heard you. You don't want to spoil them by playing with us because we'll make them worse for you because you're such an ultimate gaming machine.
Right.
His name is Jason Levine.
He's mean when he's sickish.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm loopy.
Sickish.
I'm like really like pushing to be energetic because I'm very sick.
Yeah, but the pushing to be energetic could
Means I'm like
come
a
out in a
jerk.
nice way.
Nope.
Okay, so anywho, this game scales pretty well, but I really with 2 it's not so bad. I really like with 2. You're just moving pieces up and
What was
down.
the game again? I'm sorry.
Adventureland.
Thank you. I really forgot. I'm sorry. Adventureland. Yes. Okay.
Riveting.
There are 4 scenarios in the basic box. 3 scenarios in the basic box. 4 more get added in the expansion, but each scenario is like a separate game. There's even a cooperative one in the expansion,
Yes,
which I
right.
thought worked
Right.
well. I just like this game. You're drawing cards, moving your things magically appear on the board. You then decide where to move your pieces, and at a certain point the game ends. And it plays really well with 2.
Would you recommend people buy the expansion right away, or can you like fold it in later?
Nah, I can fold it in later. You don't. It's just basically 4 more scenarios. So you might as well play the first 3 scenarios to see if you like them before you get 4 more.
Okay. Okay.
So, Adventureland, my number 3.
Is it me?
It is.
My number 3 has been mentioned already. This is Santorini. It's pretty.
It's 2 on all 3 of our lists.
Yeah, it's very pretty. It's purty.
Birdie.
It has a pedestal for no reason.
Not in.
No, they all do.
No, not in the new one.
Not in the new one.
The
Oh,
new
they
one I saw the
reprinted?
Target.
Not in the
Yeah,
Target.
the Target. They took
Says
that
the
big
board.
pedestal out to cheapen the price.
Oh man, I'm out.
It's now down to Z's number 7.
It was really it was a pointless piece. It really
It
was. It's just
but
pretty.
Man, it looks
Anyway, it's just a really great abstract game. Like these guys said, it's just well made, and it's got a theme for a themeless. I mean, for an abstract game, the theme they chose to go with, I think, really helps and fits well. So I like it a lot. Santorini, my number 3.
good. My time.
Yes.
All right, my number 3 is a 2-player card game that has so much depth that is not apparent when you are first learning how to play the game. This one blew your mind when I taught it to you up in Connecticut.
Oh, sure, yeah.
It's called Hanami Koji.
Oh, I thought this was your number
Also
1, so I'm
by-
surprised.
Also by Emperor S4, same people that made Shadows
Yes.
in Kyoto. Yeah, this one, again, it plays casually. I struggled putting it this high on my list because it is very excruciating in some of the choices that you have to make. Because some of the choices you have to make are take 4 cards out of your hand, play them on the board in 2 pairs, give your opponent the choice to take 1 stack and then you take the other stack, or play 3 cards. Your opponent takes 1 and you take the other 2. And that can feel so heavy when you're actually going through those motions. But it is a very casual game. Games take like 15 minutes 10,
Right.
15 minutes. It plays very quickly. So it is definitely a casual game, but it doesn't feel like one as you're playing through the game because those choices that you're having to make are very, they weigh upon you heavily.
I think part of the reason for that is because you make so few of them, really.
Yeah.
You make, I mean,
4 choices.
right, and then it's like each one is so important because there's such few of them.
Yeah.
There's so few of them that you feel, like you said, weighed down that you are handing your opponent the ability to beat you.
You have
That's
a
not
lot
a
of
good feeling.
information. You have a lot of information
Sky
because
every
you
time.
know that you know how many cards of each set are in the deck.
Mm-hmm.
But one of those cards is thrown out every turn. So it's not perfect information, but there's a
Geometry.
lot of good information in the game, and that's what makes those decisions so difficult. So
It's a good one.
It's a great game. My number 3, Hanami Koji.
I just think
That would
that
have
if Lost Cities had been published by Emperor S4, you would like it.
No.
I feel like it.
Nope.
Number 2.
This one has also been mentioned already.
By who?
By whom, you mean?
Yes, that.
By me,
Captain
Yeah,
Grammar.
no, I'm kidding. By Tom.
Onitama.
Yes, because I looked on the list. I thought you looked on the list and you saw. Yes, I did. I can't think.
Don't have a tell, man. You're supposed to like look at the list like
Is
this.
it Onitama? Anyway, yes, Onitama's my number 2 for everything Tom said. I remember those events very differently, though. I remember he sat down and I said, "Bring the game out." He was like, "Yes, sir." He set it up and he was moving the pieces for me, and I beat him. I mean, soundly, and then again and again, and I stole his hat at the end.
But then we played it in our mind. We did.
But then I just sat there and went, just looking at each other, nodding knowingly, and then he won. Anyway, Onitama, great game. My number 2.
That was a lot of useful information there, wasn't it?
I added nothing
Of
to what
value.
Tom said
Right.
at all.
You better put a lot of pictures here when we do this.
Yeah, baby. All right, that was it. Who's number
Me
2?
too.
Yeah,
me
go.
too. Me too.
You too.
All right. I don't think this is going to be on your guys' list.
Oh, you don't know my number 1?
But the reason I included this one is because it has different layouts that can be used for the different player counts. And
an
so
onion.
when you
Layout.
have layers,
Oh, I'm sorry.
not layouts, not layers. And this one is called Dragon Castle.
Dragon Castle.
This is the one,
one's
the
Dragon?
mahjong-y
Oh,
looking.
That's a good one. I didn't think about that one for 2,
And,
but it works well with 2. You're right.
It works very well with 2 because it has all of those different layouts for 2 players. I really enjoy the game a lot. It has great components. That's another thing that I really look for, especially in these more casual 2-player abstract strategy kind of games. Not necessarily that this one's abstract strategy, although I think it kind of is. I guess you could make the argument that it isn't, but you'd be wrong. But Dragon Castle is a great looking game, has very few choices that you have to make on your turn, so that in and of itself, it's a very casual game. And of course, like most of these games that we're saying, you can choose to play them on a very non-casual level. But I think the beauty of these games is just that. You can play them casually, you can play them not casually, and competitively, I guess would be the word that we would use there. But really enjoy Dragon Castle a lot. This is another one that we got introduced to at Essen. So again, it's very, very new, and I think it's still very, very available. So that's my number 2, Dragon Castle.
That one did not even occur to me. It might have made my list.
That's a good one, yeah.
My number 2 is a deck building game. Deck building games work well with 2 people anyway. Many of them, like Dominion, really works well with 2 players. This one is also a word game, and that is Paperback. Paperback is a really good 2-player game. I picked this one because I like playing it with my wife. I like playing, I like the deck building part. She likes the word building part. And they're pretty much 50-50 in this game, which I think is good because, you might know a lot about words, but I can maybe play a little bit strategically with the cards. Or I might, know some strategy, but if I can't think of a word. And it's not that hard to make words in this game. You're not making you don't need this exhaustive vocabulary. You just need to know how to speak decently well, pick some good words. And I like the theming of it. I like everything but the box. So the box is too small.
Yeah.
But I do like paperback. My number 2.
And finally, number 1.
Man, I don't know what anyone's number 1 is. Now, your number 1, I don't think it's the same as my number 1.
I don't think so. I know it's not. You don't
Because
like my number 1.
My number 1, you probably have on your other list. Because you're going to say it's too complex.
Maybe. My number 1, I know you don't like that much.
And I thought for sure your number 1 was Hanamana, that game.
Hana.
Why can't I not say that word?
Hachi. Hanami Koji.
Hanami Koji.
Hanami Koji.
There, see, you can do it.
You did it.
Yeah, but ask me in 10 minutes.
You did good.
You did just good.
Wow.
You did good.
All right. I really don't know either one of yours.
What's the genre?
Genre?
2-player games.
Abstract strategy.
Oh, is it Onitama? Number 1?
Onitama.
Oh, that's 3!
And
That's because of your restrictions.
this
What restrictions? What do
Of saying 5 years or less, you've made it possible for more
microcosm.
crossovers.
Microcosm, yeah.
That's good. I mean, some serious. This is the highlight of what's good games for 2.
And it's very casual. That's the thing that I
Yeah.
love about it. It is so simple. It only uses five cards. Yeah. It only uses 5 cards. You have 2. One's on the side. Your opponent has 2. That's it. You know all of the moves just by looking at the board at the very beginning of the game that you're going to use throughout the entirety of the game.
Mm-hmm.
That completely wipes out any difficulty in thinking or strategy or anything like that. Now, don't get me wrong. Even though there's only 5 moves on the board, the better person will win.
That's right. You tell Jason.
That's right. Take it.
Take
He
it.
is not watching.
I know, he's not watching.
I love the take it.
He's no, but one of the things that Derek and I have done is to make it feel less abstract. So we've taken like Arcadia Quest miniatures and used them in place of
Blasphemy!
Oh no, it's awesome. It's
Come on,
great.
man.
It's great, man. No, that's great.
Arcadia Quest miniatures.
Yes. Can you imagine though taking some Blood Rage
Sir,
miniatures?
misuse a theme in an abstract strategy game?
Or heroes,
We'll be taking this.
heroes against
Yellow
zombies.
card.
Heroes against zombies. That would be
Sure.
awesome. I
Why
mean,
not?
that's the cool thing that you can do with this game. It doesn't matter. You're still using. I think Mike should do a retheming of Onitama. Just not Simpsons, dude.
It has to be Simpsons.
Don't Onitama.
Oh my goodness.
But no, you guys have already talked enough about Onitama.
I didn't talk about it at all.
I know.
I said
he
nothing.
Did it for
He
both.
basically didn't do anything. Added nothing to this conversation.
It's a great game, and it's the most casual out of all of these lists, out of all of these games, because it's just very simple. You use one of your cards, put it over here, take the one that's over there, put it over here. Your opponent does the same thing.
That's it.
And it's just very, very simple, and I love it. So that's my number 1, Onitama.
I know you love my number 1. So the only reason I'm assuming is because, again, you think it's too complex.
Okay, I'll
for
tell you.
this
I haven't
list.
finished my other list. I'll tell you if I'm considering it for my other list.
Ooh.
Oh, anyway, no. The game that this is based on, the original game, is one of the most popular gateway games out there. It sold 1 million copies plus. The 2-player version, I like better than the base game, and that is Seven Wonders Duel. I think Seven Wonders Duel is a fantastic 2-player game.
I am considering it for my other list.
It's number 1 on your other list. What are you talking about?
Considering it for maybe, it might be on there.
Anyhow, well, that's what I thought, but I don't think
list and put it on my list.
I don't think Seven Wonders Duel is that complex of a game. It looks complex when you first put it out, but in reality, you're like, okay, I have 3 cards to pick from. Which card am I going to do? What am I going to do? Sell that card for money or put it in my display? And that's the way the game
Yeah,
works.
okay.
You have 3 things you're watching. You're watching your science. You're watching. In fact, science is way easier to understand in this game
Oh, yeah.
than it is in the first. When you're playing Seven Wonders, you're like, don't let Billy get all the science. You're like, he only has 4. Billy just won. I told
the
you.
Scoring is a lot trickier
exactly.
in the original game for sure.
So in this one, it's just a lot easier to add up. The only thing that's a little complex I felt in this game is the actual wonders themselves. You're constantly like, what does that wonder do again?
Yeah.
Especially when you add in different wonders each
guess.
game. Well, just because the wonders have things that aren't on the other cards.
That's true. That's
Right.
true.
But I still think the game plays very well, easily between two players. It's the closest thing we have to a Cosmos two-player game at this point in time. It's not Cosmos, but I'm saying it has that feel from that line.
I guess so, yeah. Yeah, which is what I meant at the beginning when we started talking about this not being the golden age of two-player games. Those kinds of lines just aren't around, really. I mean, you have the Caverna ones, right? What's that line called? The Caverna cave versus cave, and you've got the Agricola creatures.
Oh yeah, but I
large
didn't
and
even.
fat and
I looked at all,
whatever. It's like
I looked at
I
all
don't
those
like
games,
those, so
and they were okay. They weren't good
there's
enough
a
to make
couple
this
that
list.
are good, but yeah.
I think we're in a better golden age.
It's
of
just what
gaming.
he. It's just
No,
him.
for two players specifically, though, maybe. I don't know. You think so?
I think.
What
I
if
think there's
you
a
like?
lot of great two-player.
What
Many
if you
of these-
exclude Emperor S4? Nothing's good.
Still 8 games.
Nothing is good. Anyway, my
Still
number
eight.
one
Okay, give us a clue. If I don't, you already said I don't.
is a
really
game for
like it that
just two people.
much. Oh well, that. Okay.
It's a card game.
right.
Duh.
It's a drafting game.
Can't be Onirim. Oh, a drafting game? And you said I didn't like it that much.
You don't like it that much. It had a sequel.
Do I like it at all?
Oh.
You, man,
It had a sequel?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
The sequel was Cthulhu themed.
Oh, that's right. I knew that was gonna be on your list.
Oh, you done messed up, baby.
Ah, I forgot about that. I was gonna ask you a question. I had it all prepared. My question is,
What was the
do
question?
you feel like that game is the similar
What's
to-
the game?
I don't know.
Usually I'm not the one asking this.
You just want to say that. It's,
I do.
well, I can't remember
But
what
I
the.
did.
It's Tides of Time is the game.
Yes.
Tides of Madness. So actually, it's Tides of Time, not Tides of Madness.
Because it's slightly simpler. Why not?
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's Tides of Time?
Yeah.
Oh.
They're both almost, I mean, they're very, very similar.
I should have. Well, I actually like Tides of Madness better. That extra thing where you can go mad gives it that extra oomph.
Yeah,
in there.
sure. I mean, pick whichever one you like, okay? They're so close. I picked Tides of Time because it was first. The theme is, I think, more appealing across the board.
Yes.
And it's slightly
true.
simpler. So if you're looking for real casual, I mean, like to pull it out at the restaurant and play a hand,
Yep.
yeah, you can do that.
I was just saying, I feel some similarities between Tides of Time and Raptor sometimes, just the way you're picking cards and things back and forth.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I think if you like one, you might like the other. That whole try to outpick your opponent in the card.
I don't see it because I don't know
I
what my opponent.
withdraw my.
I don't know what my
comparison.
opponent's holding in Raptor at all ever, as opposed to in Tides of Time. I'm giving you 4 cards or whatever. I know what you're picking out of.
Yeah, that's true.
And then the first round you don't know quite what's going on, but once you see what they're going for and they lock a card in place for the second round, I definitely know how to hate draft against you if I want to and if I'm able to, without hurting myself too much.
That's the one thing about this game. You can hate draft, but it's really hard to hate draft and not hurt yourself
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah, you have to know when to do it and is it worthwhile doing. I think it's amazing how the designer was able to take the idea of drafting that I really enjoy. I know Sam really likes it as well.
Yep.
And distill it into like 16 cards and a game for 2 people. And it seems to retain all of that tension that I like from drafting, which is I want them all, but I got to take just one. And give you the rest. Give me that one card back, though. You know what I mean? I like that a lot. This game does that. And the
is a good
scoring is neat.
I enjoy it. I don't think I enjoyed it nearly as much as you do.
Yeah,
But,
it's gone over really well for me. Everyone I've taught it to, again, as sort of a casual, like, oh, you're getting into games, let me show you this.
Right.
It goes over well.
Yep.
And it's very pretty as well, so that never
Yes.
hurts.
Artwork
So yeah,
is
Tides of
amazing.
Time is my number 1 casual game for just 2 people.
Numero uno.
Well, tell us what you think. What are the casual games we missed? Now, remember, we restricted ourselves to games that came out in the last 5 years, so you have to also.
Yeah.
And if you want to, you can go and look at our 2014 list that we did and see other 2-player games. We figured this would be a good way to get some different games. Next week, we'll be back with the strategic games, which
Ooh.
means Z will move up to casual.
Correct. They'll be like, this one has more than 2 rules.
This
So
is elementary list.
yeah,
Casual.
But we're going
There
to
you
talk
go.
about games that you don't even. Okay, never mind. I don't know what I was going to say there. All right, we're all getting loopy. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia. Thank you.
Sam Healy. See you on the flip side, folks.